Welcome back to the Crooked Spine Show. Today's talk is about staying healthy in a small business atmosphere on the Blue Collar Nation podcast I was a guest on a few months ago. We talked about the most common injuries that could occur on a job like that, where it's very physical. Also, does an invincibility attitude help or hurt your overall health? And what's a good daily routine to do, daily ritual to start doing to keep your overall body healthy to avoid injuries? Also, too, how not to run yourself down when you're working 10, 12-hour days, again, physical work. And does hydration and sleep affect your overall health? And Eric's mindset, one of the hosts of the podcast, exactly how his change helps health improve after working about 25 plus years in his field. Now he's healthier than ever. Okay. Also, when you work and you stay healthy, can it help you get paid more? And the last one we talked about toward the end of the show is the 5 action steps to actually start doing to make your body stay healthy, help your overall business stay healthy, and overall keep your people working. All right, so enjoy the podcast, and we'll listen in afterwards.
Hey guys, it's Eric with the Blue Collar Nation podcast, and we have my business partner Larry, but he's on the phone because he's out in the field doing work. So Larry, can you say hi to everyone?
Yo, what's up, everybody? I'm here and making it happen.
Larry's out in the field making it happen, so we're doing what you guys all have to do. And we have a really special guest today. We're with Dr. Anthony Ratkovic, who we call Dr. Tony.
Yep.
And Dr. Tony is our area's favorite chiropractor. So
I'm so proud.
Yeah, and we're here in his office,
Great.
so you can.
Hey, Dr. Tony, we're
What's
glad
up,
you're
Larry?
here with us.
How you doing, buddy?
How cool. I'm
So-
great, man. Yourself?
Good, man. Good. Just working like you.
we know we're not in our
Palm
office.
Springs right now. I'm getting blown all over the road here.
Oh, man. Yeah, weather.
I'll go make it happen. So, Dr. Tony,
Yes.
what we want to talk about today is, I've always preached this to my guys, that the
Okay.
most important tool in their toolbox is actually their health, in their
Huge.
body.
Huge.
And too many guys treat themselves really poorly in our industries, plumbing, HVAC, contracting, water damage,
Any field.
and then they have a hard time staying in the field for a long time.
Exactly.
So maybe we could backtrack quickly and you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, where
Sure.
you grew up,
All
your
of it.
schooling, all that stuff.
A quick 2-minute spiel.
All right, go ahead.
I grew up in West LA. Went to school out there. Went to a little high school out in LA and downtown. Went to UC Riverside, UCR. Went to chiropractic school in Whittier, but I basically lived in Upland, where I practice now, for the last probably 25 years.
Oh, okay.
When I was in school, I was able to intern at this office and that office too. Ended up working somewhere else for 2 years, get some experience, associateship, then bought this partnership about 17 years ago.
So you interned here.
I interned here initially 2 places.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't sure based on compensation packages, and then I was having a kid, many things like that. At that point, I had to kind of adjust my schedule. But working at the other place was great. I love Dr. Navy. It was awesome. Working with Dr. Weaver has been awesome too.
Cool.
17 years in practice, I've seen a lot of injuries, physical injuries, other injuries too, car accidents, everything.
Yeah.
We see a lot of people with physical labor here.
Yeah.
So you're talking, when I got your script over and what we're going to talk about, it's exactly what I'm talking to patients about every day.
Yeah. That's why
Huge.
I really wanted
Huge.
to talk to you, because, workers' comp's such a big
Uh-huh.
deal, and most blue collar businesses tend to be smaller.
Exactly.
And that's kind of who listens to us, the smaller guys.
Good.
And when you lose one guy,
Ugh.
it really hurts.
It's painful.
It hurts them, and it hurts your business as well.
And you don't want someone to get hurt, for one, but then all of a sudden you have to place them maybe with a temp. That's not as good. Then you have to pay, say, a work comp premium on top of that too, or some health insurance also.
Well, a lot of these guys are so skilled in what they do, you can't even replace them with a temp.
No.
There's no replacing them. So what happens? The owner replaces them.
Ugh.
What happens when the owner replaces them? Marketing stops.
Exactly. You can't bring anyone else in. There's no
No,
else.
so
You've
that-
lost your whole workforce.
Yes, the opportunity cost of losing an employee at a small service business can be really detrimental.
And I think a lot of people sometimes don't see that as, hey, maybe the worker, but realize people are dependent on you for your service, but also the company itself is dependent on you to trust you to stay healthy to do your job.
Absolutely.
And a lot of it is we don't take workers' comp for the reason is we want people to get better.
Right.
And the thing is if you're going to be off of work or have an injury, what's going to take to get there? A quick. What I see in my office is usually about 4 to 5 people come in so bad to my office, say for lower back or neck too, half of those people need surgery.
Right.
So if you need surgery outside my realm, the problem is once you're outside my realm, at that point you're talking about not only a month or maybe 2 months to recover, you're talking about 6 months to maybe get back to your 100%.
Yeah, if then.
If then.
So is there a particular injury that you see from blue-collar workers coming into your office?
Good, Larry. That's a good question. Very common injury is the lower back. In the sense where people's lower back becomes a problem. It's been happening for years, but they never took the time to take care of it.
Right.
So when that happens is, they're over. I had one guy a couple years ago who was brushing his teeth on a Saturday morning over a sink and fell to the floor because now he herniated his disc. Now he caused leg pain. That didn't happen until that one moment. Yeah. But the years of doing that type of work, not taking care of it, is what brought on that one moment.
Well, and also a lot of the people that have these issues, and I struggled with lower back pain for years and years, and luckily I no longer have it. But they're not doing the work on the front end to stay away from getting injured in the first place. Yes. And that's a big issue. I
think a lot of it, when I take someone's x-rays, I talk about their lifestyle. What are they doing? What do they do before the injury? What was their workout routine like? Yeah. How much did they stretch? And they go, what's stretching?
Right.
What's working out? I work out every day. Yeah, you work out because of your work. You're physically active. But you have to certain things to counter your work to keep your body healthy and strong.
Yeah. Larry can attest to this. Larry and I have always been into fitness in some way. That's how we met. We were lifting partners in college. Yeah, we were both really into bodybuilding. So as we started this business, we would preach consistently to our guys, like, hey, you need to exercise. But, what we saw was we'd get young guys who came from kind of blue-collar backgrounds themselves. Well, they think they're invincible.
Yeah, I think they're invincible.
They think breakfast is cigarettes, Doritos, and Monster Energy drinks.
Yes.
And that's also lunch and dinner. Well, dinner is a 12-pack and a pizza.
Yes.
And it's like, well, how long can you do that before you're going to... when you're 22, you think you can get away with that forever. But, stretching for them in the morning is reaching for the cigarettes.
Yeah.
So it's like we would try to get them. Larry, do you remember? We even were making green drinks.
Oh gosh!
And bringing them in to have guys drink them or try them, and
would they mix them with Red Bull, or what would they do to help them?
No, they just they revolted.
You will not take that.
Yeah, they just were like, I'm not drinking that. And I would make them really sweet with like lots of apples and stuff. We were trying.
A for effort.
And it didn't take.
A lot of it, I think, is when you have to find out where they are and how do you bridge that gap to where you want them to be.
Yeah.
It has to be baby steps. And sometimes I'll go into someone's history, hey, you're having this back problem. Anyone else in your family's had it. And if I can get an emotional connection to their grandfather, their father, their mom who had back pain, had to have back surgery, hey, I ask them, do you want this to happen to you? Because you've seen them go through that.
Right.
They go, no. Then I get the emotional response, great, let's take care of it.
Right.
So I find a way to connect with them, maybe male, female, 20, 30, 40s, whatever it is too, wherever they are, and go, okay, how do we find out what's going on first? Good, we know it's not broke, it's not torn, you need surgery, but how do we fix it, and you fix it, so you get better and stay better. Yeah. But that small bridge gap is going from Red Bull to a green drink, that would be too much.
Right.
You go from Red Bull to maybe drink 2 cups of water.
Well, Larry and I don't do anything a little.
Yeah, you guys are extremers. Yeah, you guys are extremers. Got it.
So, anyway, well, look.
Kind of good and bad,
Yeah. Well, let's backtrack. So, beyond low back, what are some of the other common injuries?
Shoulders and neck.
Okay.
And a lot of it is because a lot of blue-collar workers, they're using their arms a lot to lift, to pull, to hold, to move things around.
Yeah.
And because of that, they may have something minor, maybe a twinge that happened 3 months ago.
Right.
That twinge can turn into scar tissue, turn into tightness. Tightness turns into a weak muscle. Now you start causing joint pain. And then from joint pain, you can cause problems from the shoulder to actually to the neck. The upper back too can spread.
Right.
It becomes a disc problem where now they have hand weakness or arm weakness. So it's a progression of injuries.
I think what happens too is, you could go to the gym and lift, and a lot of these guys kind of do, and they don't get hurt because it's very controlled. The plane of how you're moving the weight is very controlled.
One plane, single plane.
But then when you get out in the field and you have, a cast iron tub that weighs 700 pounds, and 2 guys or 3 guys are trying to pick that up and get it through a small door, around corners, and into a trunk.
Your body, everything else.
Everything's twisted, so you might be holding that tub up, and yet your spine's at this 30-degree angle because of the way it pushes you.
The twisting involved.
And that's where Larry and I would always be like, you guys have to exercise outside of work, even though you're tired and you don't feel like it.
And going back to that, to the exercise part, I always start with, how much do you stretch? And 9 out of 10 times, maybe 8 out of 10 times, is what's stretching. And so my thing is, when you can stretch properly, when I show them the exercises, I have some in my show notes too, I'll link to your show, is a lot of it is how do you start stretching slowly. And over time, more and more and more. Once they see a light bulb go off on a blue-collar worker's brain going, hey, it actually feels good now.
Right.
I go, great, the stretching helped, let's give you another one. And then from there, strengthening so you can do the twisting motions, the lifting all day long becomes easier and you're not injured as much.
Yeah. And Larry can attest to this too, as we got older, we would say, well, let's go get 3 guys and move this. But when you're young and full of testosterone and trying to prove yourself,
you're invincible.
Well, there's that kind of blue-collar cowboy up, like macho, wacho, like...
Yeah, stretching isn't masculine. It's not.
Right. And it's
testosterone fueled.
Overcoming that.
Blue-collar guys are. They're not going to say, yeah, I'm going to go and do a yoga class. Yeah, I stretched this morning.
Yeah. Well, I tell them not to wear yoga pants, but at least, because that'll look weird, but at least do something before and afterwards.
Yeah. So I think there's a cultural issue at play sometimes in our world, the blue-collar world, to overcome some of these stereotypes that are less than what they consider masculine.
Of course.
And those are the things that are going to help them the most.
And looking at big jobs too, what I see from my office is sometimes I have superintendents or supers in here, 2 supervisors, even safety guys too. And a lot of it is they'll say, hey, look, let's do it this way, but then someone else is pushing them, hey, you got to take care of it now. We don't have time to waste for somebody else.
Yeah. So
that's not only is the actual blue-collar worker, something blue-collar boss, supervisor going, hey, we got to get it done now. Take care of it.
Yeah, and well, I mean, for Larry and I, we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. We're like, well, yeah, go do all these things, but do them on your own time.
Yeah.
Because we need to go, whereas maybe we should have taken like more of the Japanese mentality where everybody stretches collectively in a morning meeting.
Yes.
We never got to that point.
No.
Classic.
That would have been so great.
Been a great video.
But I mean, they're doing that for a reason because, they're realizing that they're more efficient if they do that.
It's huge. It helps with work injuries, helps with disability claims. Everything keeps people on the job the whole time.
Yeah.
And people realize from when you change the work culture to requiring it somewhat, then becomes the culture. But that transition is hard for, like you said, the macho man, Randy, to want to do that and over time do it more and more because someone else is doing it.
Yeah.
It just takes time, but it takes that one person to start. You might be the minority over time. Over time, more people catch because it does work.
Yeah, and if you're like a blue collar owner or leader, if you can get your somebody in the company like who's a tech, who carries influence over the other guys, is just a leader by his or her nature. If you can get them to buy in, the other guys will follow.
And
you try to get a membership for these guys at a couple of gyms who are cleaning the floors.
Yeah.
I think we had it for a little while.
I had a membership and nobody went.
But there's no reason to, because again, I think sometimes to be devil's advocate, there was no bridging the gap to where they were to how to get to that point.
Well,
incentive is always the key.
I think also it's like in your own life, you have to want it for yourself. You can't be pushed by somebody else.
No.
So Larry and I setting up so that they can have a free gym membership isn't really the answer, because if they really wanted to do it, they'd go buy a gym membership.
But if you don't pay for it, you don't pay attention.
Yeah.
So that's the quality there where you're not there's no self-motivation.
Yeah.
But I think when you get that one person or 2 people that can get that going, or they've come back from an injury, hey guys, I was out for a month because I had this, now let's start doing this so you don't have what I had.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's an older person or someone, like I said, someone's more respected in the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's backtrack a little bit and just start going into different areas.
Good.
And then maybe we can come up with the 5 steps a guy could do to start.
And what I did in my show notes, and I'm putting and give your show notes too for yours, is 5 videos on actually how to stretch your back, how to stretch your shoulders, how to stretch everything. Okay. I think number one thing is always, like I said 10 times already, stretching. Starting with that. See what I do with my patients is see what's tight first. Yeah. And from that's your weakness. So you have to work on your weakness, make your overall body stronger.
Well, it's really interesting that you keep bringing that up, because Larry and I, Larry is naturally tight.
Okay.
And he works it all through that time that we were doing labor. Larry gets up every morning as a morning ritual and stretches.
Wow.
For how long, Larry?
Good 10, 15
Yeah.
minutes.
And he's done that like literally as long as I can remember. I'm naturally very flexible.
Okay.
So I took it for granted.
You got it.
So I never would do it because I'd be like, well, you're really tight and you can't touch your toes and you stretch every day. I can put both hands on the floor. I don't need to do anything.
Human rationale.
Guess who got injured way more often?
I don't have to guess.
Yeah. Me.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That's because you're always whacking your head or bumping into things that you shouldn't have.
No, but I mean, well, I had a lot of injuries over the years, much more than Larry in some ways. I also brought into my blue collar practice a history of a lot of contact sports. So I was kind of injured before we began. So you'd think that I'd be smart enough to stretch and do yoga and all these things.
Not necessarily.
But I wasn't. I would be like, well, I'll just go to the gym and pound the iron some more and make myself stronger.
Yeah.
And that will fix my problem. And
Hey, listen, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I got to bail. I got an appointment here.
All right, my friend.
all right, Larry. We'll talk to you later.
Dr. Tony, it's good talking. I'll talk to you soon, Eric, and everybody else. You guys have a wonderful day as well.
You too, buddy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, it brings a good point to where one of my questions I asked my blue collar patients when they walk in the door is, did you play any sports in high school? Did you have any injuries in high school? Do you have any injuries in college? And a lot of them say yes. And that injury, because they never really took care of it, because they felt good, at that point they went into post-sport play, post-sport or occupation where they are now, to where now they have a tight area with scar tissue that is prone for injury.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to fix it. I call it naive. They just don't know what they should be doing. That's
Right.
part of it. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, in my own case, I probably wasn't naive. I just didn't want to do. I like to do what I like to do.
If you're strong, that means everything else is okay.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, that's the
So,
mentality.
so I talked about Larry's morning ritual,
Yes.
and I was wondering if we could kind of maybe lay out a morning ritual
Good.
for guys before they come to work because, I used to preach in our morning meetings all the time. Stretch.
Yep.
Hypocrite. Stretch.
You should. I'm okay, but you should.
Drink water. Eat. Give yourself enough time to prepare for the day so that when you come to go do all this labor that we have sold, that you're in a good place to do so.
I'd even step back and go, what did you do the day before to help your body hydrate and have the energy and have the flexibilities to make sure you can do the job all day?
Yeah.
They're athletes. Athletes that have a game on, say, a hot area, a hot climate on a Saturday, they start hydrating on a Thursday. Because they may have one or two games that last maybe an hour and a half, right? Blue collar workers work for how long? An hour and a half? Or 8 hours?
Most of us are working 10 to 12
10,
on a lot of
12
days.
So you have to be able to have that endurance. So it comes from hours of hydrating, days even before, based on your body type, to make sure your body's ready for that. Plus energy levels.
I'm sorry. And then one of the other things is lifestyle.
Huge.
Because what do a lot of guys do? I mean, I know what my guys did. They drove from the shop straight to the bar,
Happy hour.
half a dozen beers, go home, have a pizza, play
Video games.
Halo till 3 in the morning.
I played John Madden 84 or something, that's right.
And then have to be to work at 7. So really, I mean, that I used to say this all the time. That day starts the night before at 5 o'clock
Huge.
when you leave here.
Huge. And a lot of it is, but it's that bridging the gap, though. You almost have to wait for a small injury to happen, then to go, hey, what the heck, what was that?
Right.
So you almost, in my sense, you have to get the light bulb to go off, have emotional response to an event. So, but if you can at least prep them, hey, look, this is what worked for this person, works for Larry, works for me, works for Johnny. You may want to do this so you don't have injuries. It's maturity, too. To be able to listen and understand.
That's that for Larry and I in the water damage business. A lot of the trades are young guys. And what happens is by the time they get 30, 35, they either go into management or they go somewhere else because their body's toast.
So you have 50-50 chance.
So you've got like a 10-year window to, if you're wired for being management or a foreman or something where it's less physical. And what percent? That's 10% of the guys, right?
No, it's not
so we were always running young guys. Well, who doesn't want to do what we just talked about?
Yeah.
Young guys. So
maturity.
Then the question is how do you get them to maybe do some of it? I mean, I used to talk about it
How do you bridge that gap?
Every week, and I'd be like, okay, I would explain Larry's regimen or my regimen, and they appreciated it, but they'd be like, I don't want to live like that because I'm 22.
But what I would show them, what I do to my patients, even though they're young, some of them are young, I show them the stretching and see how it feels to them. And sometimes they'll go, man, it's sore. So what do you think you should do then if it's sore? So sometimes that's enough to get the light bulb to go off. Oh, maybe I should start stretching.
Right.
Or at least they'll feel something where they go, what can you do to fix this thing?
So in these 5 videos that you'll put in show notes, exactly, yeah. How long would it take a guy in the morning to get those done?
Relative time with a cup of coffee, about 10 minutes.
Okay, that's not a big investment in your health.
No, even if you get to work and do mat work, I think there's one you have to do on the floor, the roll the bathtub with that you really can do at work. If you have a broomstick, if you have a roller, if you have a towel, stretch out your shoulders, your back, everything.
So it's not so complicated that anybody couldn't get this done.
I can't understand complicated because there's no patient compliance that way,
right.
or blue collar worker compliance.
And then should they do it at the end of the day to prep for the next day too, or is that not necessary?
For me, it's not necessary. It's okay, but make sure you get the hydration in there.
Yeah.
The energy, whatever food you're eating, because that's getting your body for the next day. Your body takes about 12 hours to digest your food and hydrate to for the next day.
Okay.
Because you're not playing NFL football, you have to do it Sunday through Friday.
Right.
Maybe take Saturday off and Friday off, but Sunday through Sunday through Thursday is hydrate, eat well, eat well. When you come home on Friday after work, do whatever you want for the next 48 hours.
Yeah. I used to talk about that in our morning meetings all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, look, guys, if you're going to go drink 15
go
beers,
do
it on Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah.
Don't do it on Tuesday night because, not only are you not so useful to us when you come in hungover and all that, but you're hurting yourself. And your chance of injury, if you don't feel 100%, I'm assuming goes way up.
Even that, not even you. I worry about the person you're working with.
Yeah.
Who's carrying that iron cast tub on the other end. And you drop your end, what happens to the other person?
Yeah.
Or the piece of wood or whatever it is too.
They're both coming to see you.
Exactly, yeah. I love the work.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it is when you talk about, and sometimes the old generation too, same thing, the old generation, the olders, is where they're stuck in one way. It's worked with them forever.
Right.
They may have had pain here and there, but they got over it because they were tough. They're a tough old guy. Okay. But also they get to the point where like, okay, it no longer feels good. I'm still working. I had one guy come in on Monday from Arizona. He works out there sometimes. His wife had to drive him to work because he couldn't drive himself. He was too beat up. So he'd work and then had to call his wife to pick him up again.
Well, that's no way to live. Your quality of life is so low at that point.
I realize some guys, their life is their work. So if they don't work, their value per se to them and their family is zero.
Yeah.
So you have to look at that end too. Where are they getting their value from? And can you change it over time, which is hard to do, based on, hey, if you can get yourself healthier, then you can be a benefit to your family, not a detriment. I'm straight up with them.
Yeah.
If you want to be a detriment, then do what you got to do, get good life insurance, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But if not, then you got to figure out what can I do now, I don't care how old I am, to get myself healthier and better. Because realize if someone's in pain all the time, especially an older guy, 50s and 60s, even 40s, at that point, they come home grouchy with their wife, kids, whatever it is, too. So they're not only is their work life suffering because they're in pain, but their mental side is where it affects their family and their friends.
Yeah.
So it's that side, too.
I know from my own experience, I had this, I grew up an athlete, and I'm in good shape and healthy now, but I had this, 15-year period where my entire life was work.
Yeah.
All I cared about was making money, becoming successful, providing, all those normal things.
Yes.
And I completely threw my health out the window. I used to sleep 4 hours a night because I had the saying, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm going to fit it all in.
Yep.
I ate, the window diet. You roll up to McDonald's and they open a window and they hand you a bag and then, you go.
Yep.
And even though I'd say that I wanted to work out, I was always exhausted because I was in the field.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that, about how to overcome that.
Yes.
So I wouldn't exercise because I'd be like, well, my job's my exercise.
Yeah.
But in reality, my job was breaking me down and I wasn't doing anything to build myself back
There wasn't
up.
enough recharge.
And then, I wasn't getting the care. I would come to the chiropractor or a doctor when I just absolutely had to.
When you're broke.
Yeah.
Just broken.
So, I think that's why I'm kind of passionate. And I watched my health, when I started Shamrock, I weighed like a pretty lean, muscular, like 205.
Yeah.
At one point, I was 282 pounds.
Holy
Over
Christ.
like 6-year period. I just...
But it's a gradual change, so you don't notice
I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
I knew I was getting bigger and unhealthier and all these things, but I was so focused on work. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of guys do that, whether you own the business or not. A lot of guys just get into what they're doing.
Well, the work never stops. In the sense where you're on the field, you come home, do paperwork, go for the next job, and get the next job. So you're talking about you can't stop for 3 weeks.
No.
Because your jobs are continuous back to back to back to back.
No, you're in multiple jobs a day.
Yeah, and your brain doesn't shut down.
No, so, I fixed that, but I had the luxury by that point to have enough staff and managers that I could back off.
Yeah.
So what does the guy do who's kind of wired like me? Maybe not an owner.
No.
Could just be a laborer or what, a technician, But they're kind of living that kind of lifestyle. And I was not unique in any way, shape, or form.
And Type A's run businesses.
Absolutely.
Type A's run the business and it is the business.
Yeah. Where Larry, conversely, his personality is not the same as mine, as you know. Mm-hmm. He managed all of that much better. His health never went downhill.
Yeah.
He might not have exercised as much as he would have liked to, but he was fairly consistent. So I just look at the two of us and the toll that the business took on us. And for me, physically, it was way more. And it was all me.
Yeah.
I could
As a business owner, I look at ROI, return on investment, and I go, okay, if I'm going to work 5 days a week, which is fine, what am I doing the other 2 days when I'm not working?
Right.
Is there a time, maybe an afternoon, where I shut everything down on a Wednesday? At that point, I take the afternoon off to go do a workout class, to go see a personal trainer, to go see my chiropractor, hint, hint. To where you spend the time, maybe midweek, once you got beaten up, say, Monday through Tuesday. Wednesday, you beat up a little bit. Afternoon, you recharge. Get back there Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So setting a time up where you pay for it, in my sense, pay in advance so you pay attention.
Right.
At that point, you pay a month in advance. I have an appointment here, I have to make it no matter what.
Right.
At that point, in your mind, I got to change my schedule around so that things are set up for that day every week. I have that appointment with that physical trainer, that therapist, that yoga instructor, whatever it is, to let me get my body in shape and healthy for the next couple days. The weekend, maybe the same thing. But having that schedule, I think, helps people see it and become routine for them as part of their work routine.
Yeah, I used to tell my guys, because, a lot of guys, they don't have the ability to take Wednesday afternoon off.
But it's like that night or that Saturday morning where it's every
that's
week.
That's what I'd say. I'd be like, look, do your training on Saturday and Sunday when you're not completely exhausted, or force yourself to get up at 5 a.m. and do a 45-minute workout before the day, because in our world, you're not going to do it at the end of the day.
You're toast.
Smoked.
Okay, you're toast.
So,
but it's sometimes understanding that first 2-3 weeks of doing that, it's going to suck. You're going to feel like crap.
Well, and I was always kind of like, look, if you could work out on Saturday and work out on Sunday, just try to get Wednesday morning at 5. So you only have to get up early one day.
Exactly.
And you got 3 workouts in for the week. It's just committing to, I'm doing 3.
And a lot of it is not just the workout, but like you said, the diet, the hydration. If you want to call, instead of an energy drink, maybe drink some tea or some coffee.
Yeah.
Because energy drinks are good at a certain point, but at a certain point, it starts causing heart issues.
Oh, dude. We would have guys drinking a half a dozen Monsters a day.
Wow.
And that was not uncommon.
Wow.
They would drink, you would see, we'd get a big job where they'd have to go pull up a wood floor, which is very hard work because it's glued down. and they'd be like, we'll be right back, and they would run to 7-Eleven, and every guy would have like 3 monsters like this big, and they'd be like, this will get us through, and I'd be like,
make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, 911, I guess, if something happens.
Yeah, and we've had guys who were having heart palpitations, and I mean the amount of caffeine,
everything in there too. Your body will re-regulate your body over time to need that, so you need another one.
Right.
And you need another one. So it's like an addiction to where you need, because your body's regulated a certain amount, that's just my even point.
Yeah.
If you want me here, at that point I'll take another Red Bull, another Monster drink, whatever it is.
Yeah, a lot of guys have the bad habit too if they don't pack water in a lunch or snacks. Like they just so they have some Doritos and the cigarettes and Monster for breakfast at the morning meeting or when they're driving to their first job. I know this sounds so terrible, but I mean I've worked blue collar my whole life.
That's
I know what it is.
Yeah.
And then they just kind of live on cigarette breaks until like all of a sudden at 2 o'clock, and they've been working hard. Hard work. At 2 o'clock, they all kind of stop and go, "Oh, we're hungry. Let's run to 7-Eleven and get 5 hot dogs off the things and spin or whatever, and a candy bar," and they go back to work. And it's like I would constantly you guys should just bring an apple and a sandwich and a
gallon
jug
of
water. And
but it's a mentality of, well, I feel okay, so why should I change?
you feel okay till you don't feel okay.
Until you don't feel okay. At that point, when you get them early enough where they just start feeling okay, then you go, okay, what do you want to change? How can I help you feel better?
Right.
It's almost because we were all kids one time. We don't listen to anyone because we knew what's going on. Because our friends told it was good. Because our friends were an idiot too. At that point, us idiots together make one big idiot group.
Right.
At that point, how do we get away from that over time? It takes an injury. It takes something to happen. But having water for them there, having access to that all the time. And now, this is 2019, there's a Chipotle in every corner.
Right.
There's a healthier fast food choice in every corner. You can go to Vaughn's or store and get a salad.
Yeah, Trader Joe's.
Anything, or just a chicken wrap, whatever it is too.
Yeah.
Realize whatever you put in your body, say for example the night before, you're using that energy that next morning. Whatever you take in at lunch, use the energy that afternoon, hopefully. But realize that 24-hour period, what are you doing to get your body strong enough and endure that type of work based on what you have to do that day? Yeah. And sometimes they don't, then great. I say great because a slight injury happens. They pull a hamstring. They hurt a shoulder. Like, man, what the heck happened? Well, I asked them, what did you do yesterday? Well, I did this and this. Well, that didn't really get you ready for it today. Yeah. They go, oh, crap. They don't use the word crap sometimes. There's other words too. Yeah. But a lot of it is, I gotta see that light turn on their head. I want to change something. Yeah. Because something happened to them. But the diet is huge. The exercise and stretching is huge too. The shoulders, the back, everything, even the hips too. I said in one of my videos, the hip flexor stretch, because all the hips get tighter when they lean over more and sit. So what happens is that muscles get shorter in the hips, and they get easier to pull. So a lot of it, that muscle in the hip controls the back, and they have a back problem. So it coincides, catching the first injury, when it first happens, is the key. That point, you take care of that, so nothing else becomes sequential in the body.
Yeah, so basically you get a back injury, but then you start walking differently, so then your knees and your ankles and
everything.
By the time you're
middle-aged, you're like, okay, I just need a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I tell them straight up. I tell them if you don't want to get better, that's fine. Just make sure you invest in a good wheelchair, and then just buy it straight out. So you're gonna need it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest health benefit that I ever did was the easiest. I started sleeping 8 hours a night.
Okay.
And because I was Mr. 4 hours.
You have work to do.
I'll sleep when I'm dead. No, I didn't want to sleep. I wanted to do.
Get out there.
And I was sick all the time. I always had something go.
How old were you back then?
From 25 to 50.
Okay.
So for 25 years, I slept 4 hours a night. Well, that's I'd always be sick. I'd always be going to the doctor, and they'd be like, dude, you've been sick 6 times this year.
What's going on?
And then they'd ask me my lifestyle, and I'd tell them, and they'd say, well, actually, you probably have a really strong constitution. It's amazing that you only have these problems.
Yeah.
But,
nice.
Finally I said, okay, I'm going to start sleeping more. I heard Arianna Huffington do a podcast about her book about sleep, how, she was very successful and had the same mentality. Yeah. And then one day passed out and whacked her head in her office, and she was just exhausted because she never slept. Yeah. And so in the podcast, she was talking about how much more effective and efficient she was. So I was like, well, okay, she's successful, so I'll try that. I literally never get sick anymore.
Amazing.
Just by sleeping.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
I think I run so hot, just as a type A person.
Yes.
My body needs that recuperation.
The recharge,
And if I don't do it, I think my immune system starts to suppress and I get sick.
Your body goes into what's called a stress state. The stress state is where the body stays in a fight or flight mode. So that can happen with diet, lack of sleep, pain, whatever it is too. So your body doesn't really recharge.
Yeah, so is that how people get adrenal fatigue?
Exactly, adrenal fatigue. At that point, they actually get their body worn out so much where their body can't regulate that deeper energy. Say, for example, fat cells to regenerate, to re-energize them throughout the day. So the body goes into basically just deprived mode, if you want to call it that. So you go from fight or flight to they go to basically not moving at all. So their body shuts down, going from heart palpitation for one to where now they have a lower heart. They go into a mode of become more critical. So when they get to that point, ask them, okay, you slept 4 or 6 hours, but did you actually recharge? No, I'm exhausted when I wake up.
Right.
That's my first sign of a stress state. How do you go to the bathroom? I don't go very often. When I go, it hurts when I go. At that point, okay, you're in a stress state.
Yeah.
I'm in pain all the time. I'm grouchy all the time too. You're in a stress state.
Yeah.
How do you get out of that? By getting the rest, by getting yourself out of pain, by exercising, by stretching, eating well too. So at that point, you get to the point where now you're in a relaxed state. Relaxed state allows your body to handle more stress.
Totally.
When you're in a stress state, your tolerance to stress becomes less and less and less. So the next day sucks. The next day sucks even more. The third day, I just want to go home.
Right. Yeah, I lived that way for 25 years.
How do you last that long?
I mean, I literally would wake up feeling horrendous every day.
Yeah.
I just thought that was life.
That's life. Life sucks.
Yeah, and
Life's horrendous.
And that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted to do the podcast with you because my own transformation. Look, I'm no different than all the blue collar guys that we're. I am them.
Yeah, you're not in a fantasy land. They run their shops the same way because they have to.
And it's I tell other people, it's like, look, if I could make this change, then literally anybody could make
I've done
this
25
change.
years that I'm not. You can teach an old dog a new tricks.
I mean, I had the background of being athletic as a kid. I think that helped me make my transformation.
Work ethic.
But I didn't have the mentality of how to do it. So I had to learn that. And it's like we were talking earlier, my health had gotten to the point where I was motivated to learn that because by the time I reached nearly 50, everything was revolting inside of me.
Not just a common cold, everything else.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked about it. I've had a heart
Yeah.
attack at 49 and that was a watershed moment for me. And people say, oh, that's the worst thing that ever happened to you. And it's like, no, that's the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I think with the changes I made due to it, I can then move forward and live probably a longer life than I would have because I'm taking steps to try to do so. I mean, nobody's guaranteed any time.
Well, and it's not if, it's when. It's going to be a heart attack, it's going to be a stroke, it's going to be a health condition. It's just a matter of time. Because when your body's under stress, it changes, mutates cells sometimes to get your body to go, okay, you're going to deal with that, I'll deal with it this way. The problem is when your body deals with stress at a higher level, it has to convert some of your body to things that are poisonous to it. So long term, you're caught, even though you may feel okay, even though it might be horrendous, your body's going to revolt. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So I think by if you can catch kids, when I say kids, early 20s and blue-collar workers, early enough, you're allowing their whole life to be better. Not just that day, that month, that year, that whole rest of 10, 15, 20 years. Even someone who has to go into management, same thing. I don't mean management in a wheelchair. I want to be in management still healthy, active, and knowing I'm going to live another 30, 40 years.
Well, and the thing is, too, because young guys, the driven ones would always come to me independently and say, what do I have to do to move up?
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get better? And especially now, my answer to them is always, well, the first thing you have to do is take care of yourself. Because if you take care of yourself, you're going to be more effective. And if you're more effective, then you're more valuable to the company. The guy who's always out sick, is not that valuable to, no matter how bright they are.
We're out sick, or by the end of the day, they're exhausted,
Yeah.
so they can't mentally and physically function.
Yeah.
So I want to see that guy and go, okay, what is he or she doing right that everyone else is not doing right?
Well, you'd see the guys, like, let's say you had 20 employees in the field, and I've seen this for years. You have a certain percentage that, and they're the guys who don't take as good a care of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
At 2 o'clock, they're done. Like, they can hang on until early afternoon, and then you watch them just, I mean, their production just goes in the toilet. And injuries happen a lot more in those periods.
Their body's fatigued, so what happens, your body's dehydrated. And dehydrated muscle cannot function, it can't contract. So an uncontractable muscle, it has to be pulled.
Yeah.
You go beyond what it can handle flexibility-wise. So you either pull a muscle or you hurt a joint. And again, that's another injury. So, I mean, it comes back to, I think, a lot of how do you get people to understand the reason why, like you're doing already, and understanding, okay, how do you now give them the tools to do something every day as routine, maybe their diet, nutrition, hydration, and or flexibility to let the body stay healthy and injury-free.
Yeah. Well, and if you take that over a career, if you're the guy who doesn't pooch at 2, pooch at 6 or whatever,
exactly.
You're gonna be you're the guy who's gonna move up because you're more productive.
Amazing.
And so think about that. Like, your whole career trajectory could obviously be changed just by being a little healthier than the guy that you're competing with.
Amazing. It's not rocket science, but when we're younger, again, we don't think in long term.
Yeah.
It's how do I move up in 3 months?
Well, and I
or
think
end of the month.
at the age that we are, or our parents, I learned from I'm 52. I learned from my dad, who's 85, and my dad's answer to everything is rub dirt on it and keep going.
Yeah.
And that served him well in some ways and not in others. And growing up playing sports, well, who were my coaches? The same guys who were my dad's age. Unless you're showing bone, you're not coming out of the game. You go in and you don't realize just culturally that if you approached it differently, you might have had a better result faster.
And I think a lot of it is when you think that way, what's the big long-term picture? What am I doing to my body now, which can cause scar tissue injury if I go to where it doesn't show, where it does show bone for 1, 2? What's the long-term picture 5 years out, 10 years out?
Yeah.
And scar tissue is basically a buildup of inflammation, which becomes fibrous around a joint or a muscle, where you lose range of motion. That can even cause arthritis too. Okay. So that's more permanent damage, where you're not going to be able to do the work you want to do.
So in terms of recovery from injuries like that, obviously chiropractic, but what are some of the other things that they could do, like
always
massage,
stretching,
acupuncture? Like, what are some of the things that you would recommend?
Good. I recommend one thing is stretching for 1, 2, maybe here, rehab facility, physical therapy, whatever it is. Acupuncture is great for pain, especially. And even overall lifestyle control. I work with one locally in Alta Loma. Even cryotherapy too.
Yeah, because that lowers inflammation.
Lowers inflammation, increases circulation. More blood flow, more circulation, better repair, better healing.
How often would somebody do cryotherapy as a preventative maintenance thing?
Preventive maintenance once every 2 weeks, once they're feeling great.
Okay.
But based on their workload too. I always net out per week. If you had a crazy workload, then get in that Saturday. If you were like, I did okay that week, then wait every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So if I'm going to schedule someone for that, it's going to be every 2 weeks, unless you have something that feels wrong. So once someone feels good and they know what good is, that's when they know when they're not good.
Right.
When they're injured, when they're sore, when they're tired, they're not feeling well. Because when you don't feel well all the time, that's your normal. That's your healthy state.
So that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
And it took a huge event to make change, and then I'm just using myself as an example because I was horrible about what we're talking about. Yeah. And all of a sudden you start feeling good again, like you haven't since you were a kid, and you're like, I didn't even know this was possible.
It's a different normal state than you're used to. Your body will regulate to that, but it just takes time. Okay. That's why my kids come to the door, they go, I don't see them for a long time. I go, how are you feeling? I don't feel myself right now. Because they know what normal is, because they maintain a routine of good exercise, good nutrition, good hydration, and overall keeping their body healthy. But the routine of doing it maybe on a weekend or a Saturday or Sunday, maybe a Wednesday morning, allows them to have a routine of going all the time. Once they go, man, I'm upset because I missed my workout, then I know it's their habit.
Right.
They got it. They know what's going on in their body.
And then somebody like that, I mean, I can imagine for chiropractic, somebody gets hurt, they come to you, they're coming like 4 days a week because they're so messed up. Or
I see people twice a day.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
And then once they are injury-free, what would a normal preventative maintenance program look like for a guy who's working really hard in the field?
It depends on their work schedule and how far they work from home. I usually see people in the local area in Upland for one too, but if they work out in LAX, Santa Monica, the Valley, even up Yucaipa too, I may see them only on a Saturday or maybe once a week.
Right.
I'd want to see them once they're doing well because their physically work is twice a month.
Okay.
That routine gives them enough time to get something, what's going on, they understand how their body's going, and I tell them again, if you have any problem between, then let me know, because again, you're already healthy, you know what to do.
Right.
You're on the right track already. So I have one guy, Frank, comes in every other Friday, because for him, that works well. He knows his body.
And he can maintain.
He can maintain. But sometimes he goes like, nah, I got beat up, so I can do something else wrong, but I'm coming on a Monday too.
Okay.
But it depends on, because they have in their head, now they know how to judge their body to make their body healthy and stay that way.
Yeah.
But a healthy state to get there first, and then they can maintain it on their own.
Yeah. Because the thing is, too, it's like if you mentioned LA, if you're a baggage handler at LAX, I mean, you're throwing heavy bags all day.
UPS driver, driving.
UPS driver, and then into the more like the trades.
Mm-hmm.
Your body, guys will go to Home Depot and spend thousands of dollars on tools, and the good guys who really care about their craft, they're consistently going and looking for the next tool that will make the job more efficient, easier,
That's a good analogy.
And I would be like, that's great, and I'm glad that you're investing in yourself.
Yeah.
But maybe if you invested in your health a little bit more, you could even be more effective and view the investment in the health as the same as buying good tools.
Because your body is your tool.
Yeah,
right?
if you're so ill that you're not at work, that brand new DeWalt drill isn't doing anything for you.
And you're having to double work because you have someone else on the job beside yourself. And you're stressed about that also.
Well, no owner wants that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've basically come in here, they're union workers, they're rod busters, they build bridges, everything. Yeah. Elevator guys, whatever it is too. But a lot of it is when they understand they're coming in for a benefit of getting to work and staying at work. I have one guy that comes when they're every 2 weeks, same thing, elevator guy, because he knows, even though he's young, he's only 27, 28, he knows we keep him on the job.
Well, and what's going to happen with him is he's going to work, he's going to move up, and when he's 35 or 45, he's going to be the boss probably.
Because he's done his work to keep himself healthy.
Yeah.
No employer that I know of wants someone in their management that's been out for, say, 3-4 months every year. No. You literally couldn't do your job. No. But it happens. So many people spend time out. Once you're out for a certain injury, it depends what type of care you get and how bad it is. Sometimes it becomes a permanent injury.
Yeah.
It can happen in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's how long you had the condition for that built up to that one incident that caused you to have surgery or that episode or now you can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
All right, so let's try to boil this down to actionable, easy steps.
Good.
We're pushing close to an hour, so I figure it's a good time. So, let's try to do like 5 steps. I mean, I know we have the stretching videos. I'm
going to send stretching videos.
Step
1, 2. Another thing for me is overall is find a routine that works for you. That's number one thing. What day of the weeks can you go? Maybe in early morning, weekends especially too. Next thing is how much can you stretch every day?
Okay, so number 1, create a routine and make it become a pattern.
Exactly, make it a pattern. Yep.
2,
stretching. And find stretches that work for you for your injuries or your injury points or weaknesses that you have that can help you every day.
Okay.
Okay. Number 3 is going to be hydration.
Water.
How much do you drink every day and how much do you go to the bathroom every day? If you're not going to the bathroom 5-6 times a day, you're not drinking enough water. What does your water drink? What does hydration mean also? It's for every Red Bull you drink or Monster, you have to drink 2 glasses of water to compensate for the dehydration effect of caffeine. Caffeine and sugar dehydrate your body.
And they're also very acidic, so they're throwing your pH off.
And I don't want to mess with pH because they'll be like, what the heck's pH?
Okay.
But how do you counter what dehydrates your body is sugar and caffeine.
Okay.
So how do you counter for example, 1 glass of coffee, Red Bull, or Monster drink, drink 2 glasses of water.
Okay, that's
Okay,
good.
as a
Good
way
advice.
to look at it. And start hydrating the night before.
Okay.
That's the key. You can't wait the day that you're actually on the job. What kind of energy you use throughout the day? Is it short-term energy, like a candy bar, or is it something where it's more protein-based, more complex carb-based?
Right.
What are good examples that people will eat on the job or eat before work?
Of
Like
healthier
foods,
food. You know, apples and bananas, and then maybe some sort of grass-fed beef jerky or something like jerky or something
or even
like that.
even like egg white, or not egg whites, but just eggs in general for 1 too. Be a piece
Yeah.
of ham, whatever. Make yourself a ham sandwich.
Yeah. I've seen the guys who are more health conscious, they'll have celery carrots with hummus or guacamole or something, and they're eating that as part.
I just even said make a say a wheat bun sandwich night before.
Yeah.
Throw some cheese and throw some meat in there.
Sure.
You're good to go. Some mayo, whatever you want to
Well,
eat.
that's what I always tell the guys because I'm not going to get into how anybody eats.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
their
it's
own
your
business.
personal.
But I'd be like, it makes sense to just eat whole foods. I could just. You don't need to be a rocket science. Nobody needs a book. Just like, oh, an apple grows on a tree. I'll grab that and eat it. Or
it's something to where sometimes people don't have the taste buds for that. So how do you get them to gap over there?
Sure.
So so I would say, okay, yeah, maybe have half an apple, but do your normal sandwich. But have something prepped for you to take to work every day, so you're ready to go. You're not eating out of 7-Eleven.
Yeah, that's the issue.
That's hilarious.
Well, and they'd actually save a lot of money too.
Yes.
I want to digress quickly
Sure.
on the hydration thing. So let's say a guy like me, 240 pounds. Yeah. I'm kind of the average size dude in my world. 220 to 240, working hard 8 to 10 hours a day. How much water should that person drink? And let's say they're not drinking tons of coffee and Red Bull, just like a normal.
A gallon and a half.
Oh, really? That much?
Minimum.
Okay.
Because you're working. What are you doing?
You're sweating.
You're sweating.
Yeah.
Okay. You're getting your heart rate up. Your body wants to regulate your body temperature and even hydrate your muscles too.
Yeah.
Anytime you move your muscles to a consistent level, at that point you're pushing water out of that muscle. Yeah. Replenish that water by putting more in your body. Keeps your body going the whole time. So after 2 o'clock, you're still working after 2 o'clock.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys would have to work up to a gallon.
Well, and that thing is bring a gallon, one of those gallon things to work with you.
Yeah.
At that point, is there, you see it. I want to finish that every day.
Right, and then drink some at home and whatever.
Yeah, all this, but when you see it and it's there with you, at that point, I have an igloo. The old igloos.
Yeah.
I have like 3 of them for my kids. But the kids have the expensive ones, whatever it's called, the Yetis, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
I give that one from the cabinet every time we go to a sporting event.
Right.
And I fill it up with water, ice, whatever it is too, and that's my gallon every day.
Sure. Okay, so
yeah,
we're gonna make sure we get hydrated. We already kind of addressed. So number 4 would be pack a lunch.
Pack a lunch. Make yourself prep your day.
Yeah.
Like mom and dad did when we were kids, elementary school. Prep your day so you have enough energy for the day to think and or to work, and that's a combination of both. Plus, I would even pack a healthy snack on the way home. Because what happens when we're on the way home from work? We get tired. And that fast food or that beer sounds good. But when you're hydrated and you have enough food in your system, you can make it home without having that tired taste bud wanting something that's going to be high sugar, high fat, high grease, maybe even alcohol.
Yeah. Larry and I, when we were on the truck early days when it was just the 2 of us, it was more him than me. He'd be like, let's go to the store and pack a cooler full of food. Perfect. Let's have a big cooler full of waters on the truck. And then Larry's very consistent about his health.
Awesome.
He's always been that way. And we would start stopping. I'm that guy that I would get in there
whatever.
And I'd be like, I'm going to work 10 hours straight and never leave.
Yeah.
And Larry would be like, all right, every 2 hours we're going to stop and take a 5-minute, just literally 5 minutes, eat half a sandwich or something, drink some water and go back.
Yeah.
Our production, especially mine, because it went through the roof. Like just by
Based on
eating
doing that
consistently, because your blood sugar stays steady all day. I never would fall off at the end of the day. It was, I mean, it makes sense. You go around a marathon, you're going to stop and eat food and drink water at rest stops, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same thing.
But when you're working, and that's what you said the other side too. When you're working, you want to get that job done.
Exactly.
Because your mind is focused on that job, laser focused, which is good. But having Larry, the other half of you go, hey, look, quick break so we can last the whole day. a lot better efficiency, a lot better ROI on that one.
Okay, one more step. So the fifth step, what do you think you should do?
And my thing is recharge.
Okay.
How do you recharge your body? What do you do after the job?
Recharge and recovery.
Recharge, recovery.
Yeah.
To where you can actually go, okay, after my job today, what am I going to do the next, say, 12 hours, say 5 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock the next day, to get on ready to work, to allow my body to recharge for the next day?
Yeah.
Is it hydrating? Is it eating well? Is it being get enough sleep? Am I going to stretch?
Right.
What's the next 12 hours going to include for you till, say, from Monday to Tuesday morning? What's it going to look like? And do you have a plan for that every day?
Yeah, and that's how much sleep.
Uh-huh.
I think it's also just hanging out with loved ones and friends and connecting.
If you have those, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, have a couple.
And that's a whole different topic that you can.
But having people that are going to benefit you.
Positive people.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, because sometimes people have you work all day long, your buddy doesn't work, and he goes, "Hey, let's go hang out all night," because you're not work tomorrow.
Right.
Yes. It's finding that social, I guess, benefit to you for your work environment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's just, I know when my kids were young.
Yeah.
I would come home at night and just be so whooped.
Yeah.
And all I could do with them was watch television. Like, they kind of probably wanted to play, but I didn't have any gas.
I can't move.
So I would sit there and watch the Disney Channel. Mm-hmm. But you know what? That would recharge me, too, because, okay, I'm sitting there, but I'm spending time with my loved ones. That made me feel better. It sounds small, but it would help me get ready for the next day.
It allows you to have that quality time with, say, kids or wife or girlfriend, whatever it is, too. So you able to get your mind off of work. So at that point, your body, then we go back to work. Now you have a fresh start.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it, too, besides the family stuff, too.
And then part of the recovery recharge would be the things we mentioned before: chiropractic, acupuncture if you need it, that type of stuff.
It's being a routine out of that. So once or even twice a month, you have somewhere you're going to go and get therapy done wherever it is, that your body can recharge for the next week.
Okay.
I
think we did it.
Well, good.
So, Dr. Tony, can you tell everybody where to find you? Because you have your own podcast. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they'd love to listen to that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because that could be part of their recharge to listen to take better care of themselves.
Well, and part of it too, you had mentioned too, the recharge is learning. Yeah. What do they listen to on the job, on the way to work, after work, on the weekend to get themselves healthy? Some people read the Men's Health magazine. Some people listen to my Crooked Spine Show podcast called Crooked Spine Show. If you didn't get that. Okay? Yeah. So at that point...
Shameless plug.
But also, too, is what can you do to learn what's going to work for you? Yeah. When you're having your earbuds all day long, allows you to, okay, what else can you get healthier?
Sure.
You're your best doctor when you think about it. Once you've learned enough information, you're your best doctor.
That's an awesome point. And that's another thing. We all have to take accountability for our own health. Nobody's going to do it for us.
This is America. And this isn't Korea, this isn't Russia, where they make you do everything here and there. It's up to you to either stay healthy or not healthy. We can only give you the tools, and so can podcasts like these, to make your body healthy, understand what to avoid too, but it's up to you to implement them.
Okay. And so how do they find the Crooked Spine podcast?
They go anywhere, the iTunes, wherever podcasts, you have one too. Also put links in there too. I have Crooked Spine Show Facebook page. Even my office page too, Euclid Chiropractic, Euclid, EUCLID, Chiropractic in Upland. We're right here, and go on any social media, Yelp, Google, whatever it is, too, and find us. And on my YouTube, too, we have videos called the exercise playlist, or posture exercise playlist. That one, go to there and go to all the videos on how to exercise, how to stretch, how to get stronger.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good show. Loved it.
When you work for a small company or run a small company, realize each employee's health is very important for the company to actually grow and stay healthy as a business, to see more people, to service more contracts, whatever it might be. All right, so in this talk, we give you the 5 action steps at the very end of the talk to actually understand how to stay healthy, short-term, long-term. Also in the podcast, we give you the attitude you need, the mindset to overall stay healthy too. I was glad to be on the show for one too. Great people that have run a great company. They've been in there. They've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. Now trying to get people to actually understand how to stay healthy to avoid those long-term injuries, avoid people being hurt from work, and also long-term scar tissue. Sometimes they require even surgeries to get people out of work. All right, so this podcast will be links for the podcast in the show notes and the highlights too of the Blue Collar Nation podcast.
So go to them, talk to them, hear the other podcasts are great, I listen to them all the time. If not, enjoy this show, and we'll see you next week. Have a great day.